Hey, this is David with Hagerty and Redline Rebuild Updates. Today I'm back on our Chrysler 4-speed transmission. Basically all the delay is getting parts and starting to clean some stuff up. I have a full rebuild kit and should have no surprises. But first I need to get this main body sandblasted and cleaned up, ready to go back together. Of course the side cover, and you can see I've already done the tail shaft. So that's where I'm at. That's what we're doing. Don't look too bad. Everything's disassembled out of here with the exception of the bushing, tail shaft bushing. So you do want to replace this. It does not require a 75-ton press. However, that's what I have. And you can take this out in a number of ways. If you have no press or nothing available for you for tools, you can always take like a bare hacksaw blade, take it, go in there, slice it, pop it out with a hammer and a chisel. What I did is I basically made it just a tool. So piece of 2-inch steel, put a couple steps in it. The idea is that this step is smaller than the bore. So as I go to push this out, it'll push past at least sufficient enough where I can tap it a little bit to get it out of that tail shaft. And then this step here actually will help locate it as it pushes down. So this will go on the inside of the bearing, and this will also help us install it. So that is the plan. Slips on there. Simple enough. And I have it tight enough guide that I shouldn't mar up anything. There we go. So there's our old bushing. Now, if you're wondering why I had to use a hammer still, my driver wasn't quite long enough. So I should have made that a little bit longer. But as you can see, it worked fine. Took majority of the pressure off. I would not want to tap that all the way down through there. That's quite a bit of engagement. So this housing is now, I'm going to wipe out the grease obviously in there. I'll spray this down. Along with the main case, we'll spray it down with some brake clean and get the final dust and everything out of it. Typically, I would go through and I would paint this with some sort of a really good paint relative to a 2-stage like we do on the engine blocks. But for this particular project, I'm going to spray some good etch primer on it, and then we'll get to our assembly side of things. Now let's check it. I don't think it pinched it by any means, but oh, nice. Fresh seal, fresh bushing. Wavy rip. I have all my parts laid out. I believe I have them in some resemblance of order. And I also have an assembly exploded view to kind of lean back on. And of course, I got pictures on my phone. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the counter shaft in, and then I'll put all the reverse shift mechanism in, and then the input shaft, and then the tail shaft sections. I think that's the best order. We'll see how that works. And the first thing that I see is going to be tricky is I have to set the cage bearing that is cageless on this shaft and go through and keep it all together, 19 of them, 4 times, and then it goes on the inside of this. Now, that's going to be cumbersome, it's going to be tricky, and it's going to be aggravating, quite honestly. So what I have is I have a brand new input shaft that or a counter shaft I'm going to use. I took the old counter shaft and I've shortened it. Basically, I can make this a sub-assembly, and then once it's in place, I can use the new shaft to push out the old shaft or the assembly shaft, and that'll keep this all together. Now, that'll help. It's still going to be tricky. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It's working so far. Might be a little unorthodox. I'm sure there's a better way. But you know what? I think patience, time, and a little more patience, and I think we'll be all right. And of course, luck, because I'd rather be lucky than good any day. The plan was, again, to use this shaft, set everything up on there, and then use the new shaft to slip through. The only glitch in that plan was I forgot to make sure that basically the shaft would slip through this backside hole, and it won't because this is a press fit. So made a slight adjustment, basically put the whole carrier in, pushed the old shaft up through the hole, took the new shaft, pushed it down through the hole, and I've gotten it now as far as I could. And at the same token, I'm making sure that nothing fell out as I went. So everything stayed in place. At this point, I'm going to take this over to the press. Instead of hammering the daylights out of it, just take and press that down, press it flush, and then that part of the assembly is done. Oh, hey, we're all done even with the cussing. There it is. Here's the trans all back together. This is one heavy lump of iron. I have to say, this would not be my choice in transmissions for a race car. But again, in the 70s, this is exactly what you use, because if you were wanting to run a Mopar, you had to run the A833 as a 4-speed, and as far as I'm aware, they didn't have many options as far as aluminum or lightweightness. So anyhow, this is what we have. We had a couple little minor glitches, but nothing crazy, meaning put a bearing in, flip-flop, had to take it off, put it back on, and getting the pins and all that stuff aligned and such. But at the end of the day, we mustered through it and we're all good. So that's a wrap. This bad boy's together. It needs a little paint because, I mean, I like olive green just as much as the next guy, but it doesn't fit in a race car, at least not the one I'm building. So we'll find another paint for it, probably a Battleship Gray, to be honest with you. And we'll paint her up, get a shifter back on it. But most importantly, this needs to be set up so we can put it together with the motor and then start setting it into the car and placing it where it needs to be at. So that's where we're headed next time. Thanks for watching. And as always, get to shop, get your work done. Heck, there's a beautiful day right around the corner if it's not now. See ya. Pretty slick, eh? And that's without any lube.